Alrighty, brothers and sisters, so it's been a very boring market, but there is a chart right now that I want to share with you that is about to impress you, especially that is showing us that we might see a much bigger rally, a rally just like 2020 and 2021 right after the COVID crash, and this exact same chart potentially doing exactly what we seen happen in 2020. Back in the days here, this is when we had a major alt season as well as a major bull market in cryptos. So we are looking at the exact same thing playing out, and I don't think a lot of people have noticed this or are even talking about it. This is why I want to share it with you now today while the market is down, and maybe take advantage of this market with confidence, knowing that we are possibly going to see something major happen in the market like in 2021 when we seen a major rally, which I remember very well, and some of you do as well, where we seen most of the bigger gains happen with altcoins. And today we have not seen this yet, especially that if you look at the market now, it's very boring, and I understand that. I am bored as well, and that is due to the lack of an alt season. So today this chart is starting to look more and more like 2021, and you will see exactly what I mean. So this is the stock market chart, the S&P 500 chart, and what happened in the COVID crash is that we had this V-shaped recovery where the S&P 500 went to its all-time high and started to range around it, causing some fear again, causing people to call this a fake rally and that we're gonna have a major crash after it. And the reason I started to look at this now, because I'm seeing a lot of people are bearish, and especially a lot of YouTubers are again bearish because the stock market is red today, and we all know why, because we have some war happening. But regardless of the war, we are not seeing any major dips. The market is red but not crashing, and that's what's causing people to be fearful again, to start selling. In fact, even if we go to the fear and greed index, it's back at neutral, pretty tipping towards fear again. These markets are very successful at getting people fearful at the lows and bullish at the highs. This is exactly what we're looking at here with the S&P 500, because the S&P 500 pretty much is the index of everything. Bitcoin and cryptos, they all follow it. In fact, I can show you quickly here. If I put ETH/USD down below, and you'll see how that actually correlates here, and how does ETH follow the stock market or the S&P 500. It does follow it a lot. Whenever it's rallying, ETH starts to rally. And the reason I'm showing you ETH is because it's an altcoin. A lot of people say Bitcoin is strong, but anyways, what about altcoins? Now ETH as well follows the stock market here. So we see that this is very correlated to the whole economy, and once it starts to trend higher, everything else starts to trend higher, even low cap coins. That all is correlated and related to the global liquidity, and the S&P 500 is one of those major indexes to tell us what's going on here. So what happened in 2020, so that we had the COVID crash, then a recovery, then the market started to kind of range around this all-time high, causing as well fear and uncertainty. This is October 2020, and I remember it was so hard to buy stuff. Just like today, it felt real hard to buy anything. It felt like the world was gonna end, and you know exactly why. It's because every day we had news of new variants, new lockdowns, extended lockdowns. Just like, imagine it just like today with the war, it was the exact same thing. Every day you see new thing coming up, like a new variants, new vaccines, new whatever. A lot of new stuff happen. So that caused the market to be shaky, to be uncertain, to not be very easy. And if you look at altcoins now that pumped back in the days, you would think to yourself that, oh, if I was back in the days here, I would have bought them and I would have made 100x. But pretty much a lot of people would not do that because the fear and uncertainty was pretty much there. And everybody here today lived through this, and you pretty much remember what happened with the news. Especially every day you see new news regarding what happened back in the days here, which caused even more uncertainty. And imagine buying any coin at that time thinking that this is a good idea. So pretty much it's the same thing right now. Imagine it's the same thing. Now we're seeing the stock market, the S&P 500 is close to its all-time high, seeing a pullback. Now we're seeing news again, fear, uncertainty, the market is red, cryptos are down, the fear again, same exact playbook, same exact everything happening, playing out again and again. And I'm seeing this and I'm thinking, oh my God, how is this even possible? How is this that even, like, how is it that people behave the same way all the time? And all the time people behave the same way. When it's red, it feels bad. When it's green, it feels good. And changes also, we see that with YouTubers and influencers and technical analysts. where whenever it's red, it's easier to look to the downside. Whenever it's green, it's easier to look to the upside. But we try to look at it here for what it is. And what it is that we have one exact point that we all lived through, which is the COVID crash. And it was exactly also a very strong recovery. And we could argue that we're somewhere here where we're seeing this pullback, then a double bottom here, and then continuation, and then another ranging, and then we exploded higher where we started to see coins going crazy. We can pull up ETH again and look at when it started to rally. It started to rally right after exactly now. So we're seeing already now ETH is rallying. So what you can notice here is that it started to rally with the stock market going up. So it also had its crash and it started recovering like today, and then suddenly it started to push higher with stronger impulses. And this happened right when the S&P broke its all-time high. Then when the S&P pulled back below its all-time high, also it pulled back. But as soon as the S&P went strongly above its all-time high, this is when Ethereum went nuts and started to rally for a long period of time. Now the only bad news here is that this took a long time, which means we're gonna have a long extended alt season, and most people are not ready for this scenario. This is pretty much the Max Payne scenario where alt season extends. Well, it started late and it will start as soon as the S&P 500 breaks its all-time high, but it will extend for over a year, which will mean that most of the today's market participants will be too tired to participate in it, and the new people that are gonna join in are gonna be the one to participate, like in 2021, where pretty much most of the 2017 guys, they sold early and left, and then people that actually made money in 2021 were the people that just joined in fresh with no history or trauma from any bear markets. They just came in feeling fresh with a new market pumping and a new old season, and they did not have to go through what we're going through right now, which is boredom, nothing is happening, all that. And as soon as things start to pump, people quickly want to exit. So it's not the same thing back in 2020 and 2021. New participants came in with fresh energy, no trauma, nothing like that. They just came in hyped and stoked about the market. These people have not yet joined, and these people might be the ones that are gonna extend the old season. But anyways, the most important is that things are gonna go up. That's what we care about, right? If people get exhausted, that's their problem. But what this chart is telling us is that the stock market already recovered strongly here. So the likelihood of another crash is very, very unlikely, because we see now the tariffs caused a crash. Sellers are exhausted, no more people to sell. And even when we have big news like war, this still does not cause the market to crash. Same like with back in the days with the bug. Whenever there was a new variant, the market will see a little pullback, but then it continues higher. Whenever there was an extended lockdown, market will crash a little bit and continue higher, and it will not crash as much as the first one, because the sellers were already gone and nobody is there to sell anymore, and the market stopped caring about bad news and it just continued to rally higher. So this today is is a very good time to talk about this, because it's pretty much the same thing and we all can relate to this, because we're seeing now a lot of news coming up, right? There's the same thing like in COVID time, and people are talking the same talk again, which is the market is gonna crash again. We're gonna see a lot of nothing is gonna happen, no old season, fearful. Again, people are fearful, which is in my opinion the best time to be buying, and this is what I'm doing. Whenever we see extreme fears, this is the best time to be buying, and whenever you have extreme greeds, that is the best time to be selling. So pretty much that's what I'm looking at here today. Now the strength is there. The stock market did not crash, as I just explained, because of the exhaustion from the sellers. There is no more sellers. The sellers already got exhausted. The sellers sold and left, and they got scared and shook by the tariffs. There is nothing else to shake them up here. And again, the same thing. No bad news shook the market back then. So it's the same thing playing out. Now there is another thing that we need to happen, obviously, which is the rate cuts, which might be happening soon as well. Now we're seeing Europe is starting to cut rates. Canada has done that already, and that might be soon soon the time for the US to cut rates, and the way we can track that is by the global liquidity, which is already rising and already increasing. And this as well, as you can see, this times perfectly here. With that crash, the global liquidity increased because they started injecting more money to save the economy, and we're seeing this playing out slowly. Is not as fast as here, but it is playing out, and at some point this will shoot up and this will cause the market to follow it. So a lot of things that happened in 2020 are happening now. It's just that they are happening much later than we expect, or much later than what happened in 2020 and 2021. Now, to end this video, as you can see, this is very bullish. If we do see this play out and we see another all-time high and a continuation from the stock market, this is pretty much going to be our confirmation. As soon as this starts to go here, this is our confirmation to brace for a major rally on cryptos. This is going to be it. Now, looking at this, this is what we want to be tracking. As soon as it's going to happen, it's going to be go season. It's going to be it. Now, we have to wait for this to happen. A rate cut would be very helpful here, or any stimulation to the economy here would be very, very helpful. But so far, everything that happened in 2020 is happening now with the major crash, recovery, bad news. Bad news don't crash the markets anymore. So far, we have few things that are already playing out, and I do expect Bitcoin to make a new all-time high. So I do think this is very likely to play out and then cause a major rally with cryptos. That is why today's video is about don't get shaken out by the markets. Again, this is very fearful markets we got, and usually when we have fear, it's a good time to buy, and when we have greed, it's a good time to sell. So that's what's happening now. If you look at the market in general, it's pretty red. Nothing is pumping, and it is very understandably so, because people in general get tired, and the people usually get shook by the news. So that's what's happening here today. Anyways, guys, this chart is very, very bullish for us here today, and hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for watching today's video till the end, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.